Hi. This is going to be a very quick one. There was a message put on London Bridge today um, for about migrants and stuff like that. It actually wasn't a bad message, but I just want to put it out anyway because I just saw it today, and I want to hear what you guys think, basically. So what I'm gonna do. Hold on, let me put it out. Hold on. Is it gonna show it? Hopefully, ain't got. I don't know if it's got sound or music, so I'm not gonna play in case. So this was put out. I think it was done today. I think it's done by Greenpeace. Hold on, let me get it bigger. Because there's been a lot of different racist stuff happening, so they put this out. So it says people move, migrants are welcome. What's the next thing it says? This video will change the way you think about migrants in Britain. I don't know. I don't know why we'll change them. There is no invasion. There is no invasion. Because what keeps happening, right? Also, people keep putting out the certain governments have been putting out certain propaganda about migrants. Now there is good and bad migrants, and I ain't gonna cap on that. But see now, so they're using the Windrush as a example because when the Windrush came here, when the Windrush came to Britain, they were nurses, there was doctors, there was bus drivers. What else was there? Was a variety of stuff. Now there is some bad, like I say, there is good and bad in every nation, right? So for I can't remember how long there's been different things about migrants. There was a thing where they was literally protesting to stop the buses taking them to Dover, to that boat, which I did talk about ages ago, a while ago, last year I think it was. Um, and they're just trying to put out a positive message because to me, right, oh yeah, there was also an example of a guy that was on a bus and he was having a right old rant about people coming to the country. But on the train, sorry, not the bus, on the train, there was people who was coming from work on that train and he was having his right old little rant and stuff like that. Now, I do believe that how propaganda can be put out in such a way that how people believe what they see, what they hear, and most of the majority of the time, it's not everybody who is doing certain stuff or whatever. Some people literally come here to work and come here to do stuff and come here to, you know, generate money, give into the economy. There is loads of Asian shops here. There's loads of Afghanistan, um, Nigerian shops, South American shops, restaurants, all sorts. So, and plus because last year as well, when there was a when there was a riot because they got the information wrong pertaining to Axel and and um and they literally went and they burnt the hotel down. Now one of the one of the content creators is helping one migrant person now. His name's Blinger, and the reason why the guy was on the street was because the hotel got burnt down where he was. So his trust for people was very low. He's even showing Blinger bad face, all sorts of stuff. Now this is a good idea. However, I feel like with certain things you have to be careful with, because it can be used against the migrants and all that stuff. Because as much as there is the Nigel Farages and stuff like that that's out here, there is people who literally think the same way, like old fashioned, oh, they're here to take our jobs and stuff like this and stuff like that, which is not the case. I did have a conversation with one guy, and he was talking about money being put into the country other than put in other places. And it's fair what he had to say. I'm not saying it's wrong what he had to say. Is when he said, oh yeah, line them up and power them. And I said, damn. And to me, if there is people like this that thinks this way, sure enough, there is like a million or a dozen of them who thinks the same way. And they also what they see, they just see the color, and that's it. They don't see nothing else. And I feel that how that's what blurs the line of everything, right? Because there's people who's born in England who is of color. There's people who's born over here who is Afghan. There's people who's born over here who's all different nations. And when you are treated like, I would say, like differently, especially when you're in working spaces and certain stuff, it doesn't help. It's like you're feeding into the hatred of certain stuff. And if you know about Auschwitz and certain things that happen, Rwanda, all different things, right? You internally will feel totally different. You will not feed into these negativity, because there is people who wants to work. Even in America, some people was literally taken by ICE, and they was working in for the economy. And they were also saying that how some of the ones who was dressed as ICE, dressed in ICE uniforms, probably wasn't that. And when somebody's there contesting to who you are, or when you are born over there, it's a problem, and it will guarantee to spiral out of into chaos. And it doesn't make no sense when this happens. And that's what I believe with this kind of message here. What it's doing is projecting probably good things, but it's left for those who will see the message in it, right? Because not all migrants are bad. Maybe there is some who is bad and do bad things and all that, but you know what I mean? But I just thought I'll show this because I saw it and I said, yeah, I'm just going to put this one up. I'm going to make a very short live on this. People are trying to come together, but it's not everybody's trying to come together. Some people are still stuck on oh, they're coming for our jobs and blah 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 blah. Most people in London, most people in London, most of them are self-employed. I was self-employed at one time myself. So, and I know it ain't an easy thing being self-employed. You know what I mean? There's a lot involved. Shops cost a lot of money. Branding costs a lot of money, all sorts of things. It's not an easy thing being self-employed. There are a lot of people homeless over here too. All different nations are homeless. They are literally setting up camps in parts of England. The list goes on. So to me, if this message does give some positivity in some form or fashion, because some people will smile in your face and they want to call you names, they want to call you all sorts of you know what and you know this and all that. And some people ideally, it's just friendly. Some people are friendly, but because of the few ones who's hateful, right, you will be more protective over yourself, because you don't know, because when they're amongst their friends, they're talking about whatever. I also remember the time when Tetley T had this African lady on the back of the Tetley tea, picking tea. I think she was picking tea. That's it. And the child kept saying, gorilla, gorilla, gorilla. Now, people say is what you teach your child in your house, right? Because when they go out and project it, when they're looking at a person like as though they're weird or different, then it's an issue. And the mum laughed. Now that child was taught, or he's hearing, oh yeah, those gorillas, those. That's why I don't like the N word. Sometimes when people use the N word so flippant, and they think it's normal and it's a good thing what they're doing, it's not, because I still think whether people say, oh yeah, but we are taking back the N word, we are taking it back. No, you're not taking it back. It still means what it means. It's just, this means to put you down, to put you at a level. You are the lowest of the low. You are not important. I think Dr. Mira, Salt Armor, others talk about ancestries and stuff like that. Ancestors fought so that we can be in places, or we can be in classrooms, so we can be taught, so we can elevate, we can help others. And if there's a few people who is putting things in the wrong way, it gets turned upside down. So when people use the N word, and they think they sound so hard, and it's not the case. All you're doing is just feeding into it, because if a white person calls you by that name, I guarantee you are not going to feel happy when they call you that. All right? So that's why, as much as I play people like Velvet and all that, I disagree when they're calling people the N words and all this and all this and all this. Because to me, right, I found out the meaning of the N word and what it means and the levels it means and all that stuff. I don't want to be called none of that. And I don't want my children to be called none of that. And I would want them to be in higher place, try to be in places that their ancestors fought for. And especially my grand, being that she's a Trinidadian and she migrated over here, became an SCN nurse and all sorts of things. For it to go back to where it was, I feel it will be very, very bad for the economy, all that stuff. But that's my opinion on it, basically. So I just thought I'd just do a small live on this. You could tell me in the comment section what you think. You can agree to disagree. I'll probably allow you. Just don't be disrespectful in the comment section, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm giving you my experience as a woman of color in England, right? And as much as people say, "Oh, I don't feel racism," you can have an interracial child over here, right? Yes, I'm not gonna say no, it's a bad thing or whatever. But there is this thing going on sometimes where it's underlined, and I know there is what people are trying to get this race war started. However, but there is people who like the food. They like other countries' food. They like the music. They like being in the clubs and all sorts of stuff and all this and all that. Ghanaians, Nigerian spaces, they like to be in those spaces. They like to be around the traditions. They like to be around certain stuff. And people are welcoming. They will welcome you with open arms. They're not going to say, "Oh no, you should be here because like you're white," right? They will say, "Oh, would you like a drink? How are you? Are you okay?" That's how they will deal with you. But when you go into other places and they treat you like you are less than, that's when it comes an issue, right? But once again, I will say there is good and bad in every nation, okay? There's good and bad in every nation. And to me, I'm not defined by I'm not defined by my hair. I'm definitely not defined by my skin color. I can talk. Yes, I might go in deep about most things if I know about it. Yes, I do that. Yes, I do that. I'll be in certain spaces and I'll start talking and they want me to shut up, but I just talk how I experience things, right? And how I feel I'm not just a typical whatever, right? And even if I'm going through what I'm going through, I'm not that person. So I would express myself and the whole room will go quiet. But there'll be one white person who understands the culture, and we will in turn, right, we will have an exchange, and the exchange will be positive. But that's very rare, right? Because it's different now. There's gentrification going on. There's people who's sometimes not in your neighborhood that you don't even know. They don't want to be around you. They've never been around people who look like you and all this rubbish. But some people are prepared to interact with you, but it all depends on their environment and what they're brought up in. And some migrants have been through a lot, right? Like people talk about Gaza and Palestine and all that, but there's other places where people are running from their countries, literally running from their countries in fear of death. Congo being one, I think it is. Why is it going off? Congo being one, and other African countries, I can't remember, right? But there is people who's in fear, and yes, even though there is some migrants who's doing the worst things, the bad things, like there is people pedophiles coming in who are like that, and they would do certain things. But does that mean that you should say all people from that nation's the same? No. I'll tell you one thing, right? I didn't agree with what Axel did to those 3 little white girls. To be honest, right? And I'm sure there's others who think how I think, and it's like being that how he was in certain places. But the fact that how he did that, and then they got the information wrong, and then there was a whole riot. It looked like a riot. They was coming for the people. It was something could be something out of the a massacre situation. They was ready to set fire to a hotel where migrants was. So to me, if you're capable of doing that, that just tells me about you. Even the workman here said that about lining up people and shooting them and all this foolishness. That's not humanity, right? That's not humanity. You're not getting to know the person. You're not understanding the person. The government always needs a scapegoat that they can blame stuff on, and the migrants is one of the ones that they use. They always blame the lesser than, the migrants, the this one, the that one, the this one. They do that because they need someone to blame. So when they throw the blame in the other direction, and people grab hold of that, right, it turns into a detriment to that person, right? Like the Muslim young lady who got stabbed just the other day, I think she got stabbed in Croydon or somewhere, right? I think she was just out and about. She got stabbed because people are coming up now and they're in your face aggressively, right? So not only are you getting, I don't want to touch you now, there's that element, right? You know, putting money on the on counters that want to touch you and all this stupidness. I thought them days are gone. I really thought that's why systematic racism, it's not just systematic no more. Sometimes it's in front of your face. And like people say, no, but you're imagining it. No, when it's just in front of your face. And even you thinking to yourself, I thought these times have gone, they are still there. So I'm showing this, I think it's the tower, I think it's London Bridge. I think this is London Bridge. But if it's true what they have projected this, that's good that they are doing that. But whether it's going to change things, I don't know whether it's going to change things. It might not change things. There are propaganda papers over here. Is like, you know, if a black man does something, they go and dig into the worst parts of him. If somebody else does it, it's a different dynamics. We get all that over here. So, you know, don't get it twisted. As much as it is a nice place over here, It has great sites, great places as far as Scotland, all that, but there's underlying stuff going on. So I'm not going to go on. Please tell me in the comment section what you think. If you are from the UK, you can have a say as well. Please don't be disrespectful. I will delete you. I will remove you. That's how I feel. I told you already on my post. If you're a new subscriber and you come in anyhow, whether I'm doing the dark side of Ocean Yemi, whether I'm doing Ocean Yemi, right? If you come and you are disrespectful, even if I'm talking about the migrants, deportation, whatever, and you come in a certain way and I see you coming in a certain way, I'm going to take you out. Simple as. Done. I don't care who you are, right? So with that said, I'm going to come off and I'll see you later. Have a great day. Be safe out there, whether you're white, black, orange, purple, red, green, whatever. Because I know I have a mixture on my subs that I can see. Be safe out there. Be safe out there. All right. So with that said, I'm going to leave you. Take care. Bye.